Hello, everyone. I thought we would talk about math today. Seeing the title to someone's video, and we got to thinking about something. Hmm. So I'll wait till a few people show up, and the question is very simple. Can you show me something? Can you point to something that has a negative number of things? I'll even read you the Wikipedia entry into what positive and negative numbers are. We'll see if you can point to something. Show me. Show me something that has negative. It is a negative number. And I don't want you to use a thermometer because that's a thermometer, a Fahrenheit, Celsius, Kelvin, whatever. That's you're pointing to a number. I want to see something that has a negativity to it, has a negative value to it. So, for instance, can you show me it? Can you show me a lack of 2 apples I'm not saying to do any math here. I'm just saying show me something that is negative. And we'll see if we can't um, explain something here. Jay Marley, good answer. Last night without booze, I had negative game. This would be. I will buy your answer. I will buy your answer. That's a very good answer. I dig it. I dig it. But we're talking math here. We're not talking humor. We're talking. And I think the answer is pretty simple to anybody. You could sit here all day and think of something. You could think all day. You're never going to be able to point to anything. The only time negative numbers are used is in the imaginary realm, and even there, the number zero doesn't exist. There's one thing, or 2 things, or 3 things, or 4 things. You can go infinitely in that direction. You can subtract a number of things, but that's subtracting a positive number. If I had 5 things and I gave you 4 of them, I could take 4 of my positive numbers and give them to you. Then I have 1 thing that is of a positive number, and you have 4 things of a positive number. But there's no negative number there. If I have 5 things, can I give you 6 of them? It's not possible. As I'm getting to some music here. So, how many things do we really use? Like, I was really, really good at math growing up. I took advanced classes, blah, blah, blah. Like, shit was easy for me. But looking back on it, I still can't find the uses for half of the things that we're taught. The only time that you're going to use them is in a fantasy land, meaning if you're dealing with if you're crunching numbers. Oh, they're so numbing, aren't they? Where these things only exist in fiction, not in a real world setting. And I've gone over this other one before because I was sitting out by the pool today, and if you see me sitting here staring off in the distance, I'm just playing with my remote here trying to find some music. And I was just thinking about this. I've said this before, but maybe you guys weren't here for it. For anybody that believes in the sun being not local, meaning, I don't know, maybe 3,000, maybe 6,000 miles away. I don't know. I don't know exactly how far it is, but it's definitely 93 million miles away outside of our atmosphere. It's into the solar system. I mean, think of how ridiculous this notion is. Without even getting into, even though I'll explain it, that there's this big ball of burning gas that's millions and upon millions of degrees hot. I don't know how they figured that out. But then space is cold, even though that heat and light is traveling through space, it's cold, but then it reaches our atmosphere, and somehow there's light, even though it's dark and cold, then it's bright and light and heat here. Now, if I put a let's just say a cloud right in the way, why does it instantaneously get cooler? But as soon as the cloud moves away, it's almost instantaneously. It's not instantaneously, but it's pretty quick. It's pretty rapid how quickly you can tell it's cooler and how much warmer it is. If I walk into the shade, it's cooler. If I walk in the sun, it's hotter. If the cloud is there, so if something goes 93 million miles away and it took however many how many light seconds to get here, and how quickly does that heat move? Because they say that heat moves slower than light does, but is the light carrying the heat? The light bulb right there. If I turn that light bulb on, the radiation of the heat energy from that light will take a long time to get to me. I will instantaneously, because it reproduces itself. Light doesn't move, it reproduces itself almost instantaneously. Yet, the heat won't reach me for a while. But why is it that the sun, living in this system, it almost instantaneously warms things up? It takes a little while. Just like it would take a little while for the light bulb to reach me with the heat, but the light immediately. So if it's so far away, how is all that heat getting here? That just goes into like the real world application of when people try to use numbers to deceive someone about your reality, where you live. Woe Dyson. 1 squared does not count. No, I'll just ask the question again. Show me something. Point to something. Point to something that is negative in numeric value. There is less than 1 of something. Show me what it is. And you can see that 0 doesn't exist because it's not there. And -1 of something can't be there. So, and getting into multiplication and subtraction, and I mean, yeah, these mathematical ideas you can still divide and multiply things. You can still add and subtract things, but you have to start with an actual number of things, of items, of physical object. This is not we're playing with. They say real numbers. A real number is something that exists, so you can point to it. But it's just because you put a negative in front of it doesn't imply that it is. That's a very negative number that you're using there. Okay. It's a concept, not yes. There you go. It's a concept. I don't deal with concepts very well. Theories and concepts are fun to play with, and we can juggle those all day, and we can speak philosophical about all of this and have ideas about it. But in the real world, I can own 10 helicopters, but I can't magically give you 12 of them if I only have 10. It's a pretty simple equation. And if there's none there, then there are 0. There's not negative helicopters. I have a negative argument against your assertion. Thank you, J. Marley. See, we can ascertain through argumentate. We can play with all of the language all we want to. That's fun. I enjoy doing that. I think it's humorous. But real world application, it can't be done. It's an absolute impossibility. Rain also confuses you. Yeah, rain is. We went over this another time. I don't want to get into it right now. I just want to do a quick show on numbers. And for whoever was here yesterday, I was going to do a second show after my dinner, but some things happened with the delivery system, and I didn't get my food, so I had to reorder it. So that ended up taking like another hour and a half. And then finally, by the time I'd eaten, it was like mad later, and I was just like, I didn't feel like doing it. But we'll still get to that episode from yesterday, if y'all remember what it was. It was about hybridization and GMOs and things like that. Positrons and negatrons. Yeah. Put up Chase Landmon. Yeah, and when you say something in nature, what you're saying is, nature is, this is nature. Your nature, You can say I have 2 eyeballs. If I get rid of one, I have 1 eyeball. If I have no eyeballs, then they're not there, right? They can't have less than that. So anything you can point to, anything that you can physically interact with, that's what you'd call the natural world. Wild lettuce, like actual wild lettuce, or are you being funny? But actual wild lettuce, that's awesome. Wild lettuce and catnip would probably be really. What up, Zach Corona? Yeah, catnip is probably real cool. That's very common. That actually might level out some of the extra energies you get from fasting or using looping your orn. Yeah, like actual wild lettuce. Yeah, I assume that. I assume Juju's been like, throw some herbs in there. Are there separate things in nature? Uh, Parsifal 108. Are there separate things in nature, or is that a function of language? They're absolutely separate things in nature. This whole one, everything's one unity, is a it's a it's a farce. You start, things are separate but together. Let's say that. I don't want to get it. I see that's more philosophical kind of like butterfly effect shit. Meaning, is the is me being born, and my life and this action here, where did that start? Was it when I was the glimmer in my father's eye when he met my mother in the park or whatever? I don't know. Or was it when the sun imploded on itself and created? I don't know. So in that way, like, yeah, I mean, everything. If you really get into the, I mean, and Lakesh, we're all one thing. We're all the same thing. But I'm having my own experience, and you're having yours. That's, you can't. You're not having anybody else's experience, are you? Right now, you're over there. I'm over here. That doggy's sitting there. This chair is here, and this. How much does it affect your experience? I mean, how much it affects your experience is of little to no regard of the things that are. There's separation in between things. If you got two buildings sitting there and there was a wall and they were connected together, it was two buildings but they were connected together, you'd have to go around them. If there's two buildings sitting there and they were separated, you could walk in an alley. So yeah, that's getting a little too deep on the discourse. Hold on 1 second, What's up, Rising Love? The sun and the moon and the cold light and the hot light. It's still not. Yeah, it's still not a negative thing. It's still an energy, and by negative energy, it just means it's an extracting energy. It's like the function of subtraction versus the function of addition. The sun is adding to nature by letting things grow. The moon subtracts from nature by killing things. It's just what it is. It's like the you know how to put it into images of like the Grim Reaper should be more associated with the moon. It's the moon harvest and all of this harvest. I mean, so it's not necessarily negative even in that light. It just removes energy of something. It's an energy removal device, but it's still not. It's still there. See a correlation between the Paleo ancient Hebrew alphabet and numeric sinks. I'd have to look into that, man. Off the top of my head, I don't know that. I don't know what you're getting at. Yeah, especially shaman's planning, especially if you go out in the sun after putting urine. That's awesome. I got a little bit of sun today. But yeah, like sitting at the beach with aged urine on, it's pretty fucking awesome. See if I missed anybody's something in here. No nose up here, Jay Molly. What's up? Travis Cup, what's going on? Okay. What else did I want to get into? I mean, that's about it. I'm sure we get into some different things, but I think that's just this is the video that I would hope people would understand that don't pay attention to my channel. But I think you'd have too many math heads be like, oh, there's negative. And then be like, oh, negative what? Well, on my bank statement, you can't have negative anything. That's fictional. So you got to get back to nature. What is the natural thing? You can't have negative seeds. You can be without. You can have one. You can have many. But so even getting into, like I was saying earlier, numbering systems, like you can even look into ancient numbering systems. There was no negative numbers. There was no even getting to decimals and things is a little new new agey. Musicians for Truth. All is 369 provable source code. Um, I mean, if there's three, I think there's three things. I think there's three elements. I don't think there's four. I think there's, you know, I think you say there's the mother, the father, and then the child. And the child can be either one, but it's still three things. And from there, you split off into all reality. It's how everything works. And as far as elements, the reason I don't think there's four is because I don't think that fire is an element. Fire is a force. It's a transmutative force where water, air, and earth, I think, are the three major elements. So I think there's a little something different. Fire is something else. And it's why I think that humans are not necessarily part of the animal family, because animals do not make fire. Humans do. So that fire thing is something else. It has to do with alchemy. Negative is a concept, just like infinite. It's a concept. Infinite is a concept for people. But everything's infinite. Oh yeah, okay, but to show me infinite, you can't. It would take forever, and forever is another concept. It's conceptual things versus what are you saying? Then show me the money. Show me the thing. Show me the thing that you're talking about. Yeah, that's the difference. So concepts are, like we were saying earlier. Concepts are fun to talk about. I like to. I deal with them all day long. 10 in your balls in your tank. That's awesome. Yeah. There's a few places I've lived where that was okay to do. There's some places like you can't really be having your nuts out all day. So a couple houses that I lived at where the sun was coming in perfectly through the window, and you could do that. Like here, I can sometimes. It's tough. And the neighbors here are not that. I mean, there's places you just fucking walk around with your nuts hanging out anyway. So. Yeah, musicians. I agree with that. The 3, 6, and 9. The odd, the even, and then the all. Yeah, I like the idea of it. Which so 3 and 6 and 9 is equal to 1, 2, and 3. 1 is odd, 2 is even, and 3 is all. 1, 2, 3 is 3. 1, 2, 3 is 3, 6, 9. It's the same way of saying it, but because we're expressing things in I guess a base 10 system. I mean, you could base it on anything you want, and even base 10 is even a little interesting because 0 is really a base 9 kind of, isn't it? Isn't it? Where the 0 is just a placeholder to get you the next loop. So it's more of a base 9. What's up, Shobes? We about 18 and a half in here, so you could rewind from the beginning, man, and see what you get out of it. I'm not gonna go over it again. I don't know. What else, guys? What else are we gonna get into here? I got a few more minutes. And then I'm gonna shit, shower, shave, and see if I can't find something to do this evening. Some good music tonight. Oh, nice, man. That's cool. Shaman's playing. What's up, Proctor? Proctor, I mean, I just go back. I'm not gonna ask. Like I'm not being a dick, but just I'm not gonna ask again. Go back to the beginning. I'm saying in the natural world, show me something that there is negative of, not negative value, not negative like that's bad or that's. I want to show me that's where something doesn't exist. The number -2, the number -3. It's a number. You're using two ideas, which are negative and positive. So that's a feeling or maybe an idea. But when I'm saying negative, I'm talking about numerics. I'm talking about like a thing, an entity, an idea. Not an idea, an object. So negative and positive in the masculine, feminine is the same as saying magnetics and electricity. It's not. You know, you can point to it. You can kind of see what electricity is. You can kind of see what magnetism is, but it's not there. And like it's hard. Sometimes you can't see electricity functioning because you need magnets for it to work. But nonetheless, the point is still show me negative anything, negative number of things of objects. But yeah, I mean that's always held true. What you're saying about the negative, positive terms of masculine, feminine. I mean that's the basis of most of the work that I did. Like I don't know, many years ago for people. Um, do I think? Do you think sea level is a constant, or does it go up or down? Hmm, that's tough. I don't know. I mean, obviously, you can. I can see where the tides move a little bit. I mean, are we floating on like a surface? You know, kind of up and dipping up and down. I don't know. I can see the river, and I can see when it's higher during a certain season and when it's lower. I can see that. So I don't know. That's. I don't think it's. I think it varies just slightly. I don't think to any major degree. Um, you were under the impression that numbers are a language. They're encoded language, but does a child come out the womb and start saying 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10? Numbers are a language when it comes to computers and artificial inorganic systems. And while that computer might be something, and you can do that, and you can use a computer that is base two, you know, you can use, you know, a binary, you can use a trinary computer. Those are separate from the idea that numbers, as I'm using them once again, I'm saying you can show me one object, you can show me two objects, you can count up to however many objects you want, and you can say we can physically see that there are 100 people standing here and there are 100 automobiles. Now, numerically speaking, can we code something into numerical language like the matrix? Yeah. I mean, yeah, I can show you Isisian codes, I can show you gematria codes, I can show you um, you know the real ancient code of taking and linking up the sounds with numbers, but it still is only it's you know that's not how I'm using that here. It can be a language, but primarily an animal's not coming out the womb speaking numbers. What's an animal's language? It's a sign of nature, but if they're vocally doing something, they're speaking a language, and it's not in numbers. And then so whenever we're speaking, no one's out here going, yeah, 1, 2, 3. Like that's ridiculous, right? You know what I mean? Like yeah, you could kind of say that we no one's getting taught out the womb. One, if you were just taught numbers here, let me try this. If you were taught one meant one thing, two meant two things, three meant three things, four meant four things, and that's all you spoke, what a crazy existence that would be. What if you knew not of language to express what you think a chair is? A chair is somewhere you can sit and it's comfortable. Maybe you got arms here, and you got maybe you can fold back and do all these wonderful things. Could you express that with numbers without the first finding the primer, which would be the primer would be the primary system, which would be feelings, which then produced sounds, and that sounds became shapes, and those shapes are geometry, and that geometry becomes language. Geometry has nothing to do with numbers, and so they put an equation on it later to say this to this equals this to this, and this plus this equals this. It's still this and that. This to that is that to that. You know what I mean? It was never one to two. I could say 1 to 2, 2 plus 3 is. You could do that afterwards, but in the beginning, the first thing you say is that. People thought kids are saying dad, dad, dad. No, they were saying that. Even if they didn't know what the word that meant, they were expressing using their tongue to talk about things that they could view with their eyeballs. They could see something and identified with that being a separate thing. A child doesn't look at everything as the same. They eventually try to go, what that? What's that? What's that? You would never say that's 1, that's 2, that's 3, that's 5. They need that. You need that. You know, does that make more sense? That it's how I'm speaking about it. Matriarchal society. Yeah, well, it's a matter society. Yeah, cool, Parsible. Um, Matriarchal society is based upon matter, and we split matter up. We split mat. We split the matter into different pieces. So, do we live in a patriarchal society? If I'm really breaking the language down, we live in a that's a tough thing to juggle there, because you have part of society that seems to be thwarted by the masculine mindset. But they, even in masculine, what's the root word? M-A. You know what I mean? Like ma. Um, yeah, I mean, that's a little tougher. I mean, for the most part, and also because I think living in the age of Aquarius, or where people's brains and become more artistic, and there's less desire for the, that paperwork, paper pop, that's very much that. But because I think there's been such a push by artists and musicians and people that are creative, which tends to represent the feminine aspects. So I think the patriarchy and matriarchy, it's an interesting. I don't think it was ever 100%, 0%. I just think there was it's like a pendulum, and we were way outside of it for a long time. And even though it was coming back to center point, for most people, it was still underneath the auspices, underneath the whole society, under the guise that it was. Like if you play chess, what's the most powerful piece on the board? Obviously, the queen. Go watch those old movies, right? The queen can do about anything she wants, right? Looks like the king is the most powerful piece. Is it? I mean, when we go too far in one direction, you get wild feminism, blah blah blah, like wild shit. And when you go in the other direction, you got these dudes, fucking pimp hand everything. They both not working. It's got to be somewhere in the. It's got to be the balance between those ideas. Yeah, musicians. Oh, and as always, I invite anyone here that if you like this, feel free to just hit this button. It says thumbs up. It's not. It's really not that difficult to do. I know you guys. Some of you might not have fingers, and you guys don't like digits as much as I don't, because I think numbers are very numbing to people. It does help that other people that do still identify with numbers, they can find this video, so they can go, that one's a cool video. I'll click on that. So feel free to do that, or don't. It doesn't matter to me really that much. It doesn't matter. A simulation is simulating something. This may be, yeah, virtual reality versus a simulation. That's a big one. Well, I think when you see there's a simulation, when people say there's a simulation going on, they're noticing people that aren't fully functioning, whatever, like the people that are so left-brained that they think everything is like this, and they're starting to go, oh shit, really isn't like that. So they're starting to simulate people that are a little more holistic, people that are more left and right brain, more masculine, more feminine, combined, more of each of those balances. And so the people that are very, very right-handed, very, this is how it is, they're starting to mimic and simulate culture as a whole, because there's people in the culture that are just like, the shit ain't like what you think it is. We've the king is, what is it, the king is naked, right? That the whole, like, there's too many people are like, don't you see the ridiculous shit that's going on in this culture? Just enough of this. And then these people are going, yeah, you're right, that is kind of, and so then they start mimicking and they start simulating things. So the virtual reality, I think, is something that some of us design, whether it's on a computer. I mean, this is an aspect of it, and in our real life, whatever we'd call that, it's virtually really life. I don't know. That's what it looks like to me sometimes. Other times I'm like, it's kind of that cultural memes. Terrence McKenna always talked about this, like how basically right around 2012 is when things got to the point of saturation within how much like how insane, how much shit could be invented, and how many memes are out there, and it got to a point of it's right where the Mayans said, like, this is the end of the world. No, it was just like where things just like flipped over, and then there's like seven years in between there, blah blah blah, and those I think are just allegories for things. And being 2019, I think is like there was that space in there where people were like, is it masculine? Is it feminine? What's going on? I don't understand. Oh, is there a changing of the guard, a changing of the seasons? And what was the words that Terrence used? Somebody knows this off the top of their head. Um, he was just talking about, oh, novelty theory. There you go, novelty theory. Check that out. Everything became so novel in 2012. Like, just everything was like, all right, like, go look at a meme. Like, how insane, like, how ridiculous they are these days. There's no, like, it's become so purposeless. And a lot of it has. And so that's a part of a society that I think where people were living in, like, yeah, it's like a that kind of growth area where people are like, this is shit's weird. Why is culture work like this? Why is why is everybody got daddy issues? Why these other people got mommy issues? Why these people, like, what is that really saying about people's, obviously the upbringing, but more so cultural conditioning, movies, blah blah blah, going into just how their mind functions, whether they're being more left-handed, more right-handed. No, we're just gonna take the center pillar. Okay, whatever. We ain't gonna get that esoteric right here, but the emperor wears no clothes. Thank you. Shaman's a robot, so doesn't know what thumbs up is. Thank you for being honest. Yeah, the divine feminine has been cloned and clowned. I think he meant cloned, but clowned as well. It's like how they used like women's sexuality, and then they inverted it and turned like women into just trashy sluts. Um, and what's the like, you own your sexuality. Just look, and yeah, I get it. Like being in a whether it's monogamous or polygamous. Okay, that's not what we're talking about here. We're talking about the use of what's her name? There's that. There's a yearly like all the women artists go, and it's called, what the fuck is it called? It's based on that one. Oh, it's on the tip of my brain. But they inverted even the principle of that goddess. Turned her kind of into a harlot. Um, yeah, that's the confusion. But the masculine culture has done the same thing, because everybody wants to be an alpha male. Like, okay, why? Would you want to growl and beat everything up and like? Okay, you can be an alpha, but a beta fish will eat everybody's ass. And Omega will finish the shit. So why everybody want to be alpha? Nobody even knows what fucking language they're speaking. Alpha. You know what that is? What is that? Is that English? Kind of, but not really. What language does that come from? And go alpha, beta, epsilon, delta. Go through those. Now you're gonna go join a Greek fraternity and be an alpha male. Is that the best? Is the best you can do? How about a zeta male? How about a? So so they've done it with both of the genders, both of the sexes. Um, yeah. Clown, hey, but I would still, yeah, musicians. I'd still say clown and cloned. Yeah. Ryan Duvall, go back to the beginning. Every leaf that falls is not a negative one. Go back to the beginning of the video, Ryan Duvall. Um, yeah. So you could understand what I said. It's not a negative one. The tree had how many leaves on it? Let's say 1,000. Now it has 999. It does not have -1 leaves. It has it has 999. You can't have a tree with if you have a tree with no leaves, it has 0 leaves. Show me a tree that has -5 leaves. You can't, because -5 leaves doesn't exist. You could only have that in the sense that if you had 5 leaves on a tree, and then you got rid of those 5, then that tree would have 5 less. It's not a negative leaf scenario. It doesn't exist. So check that out from the beginning, Ryan Duval. Yeah, women put in men's roles and vice versa. Yeah, there's a reason that men, for the most part, have. There is a reason that women's shoulders, like, they don't have a muscle here differently, and they produce milk, and they have a vagina that they could put a baby in. This, like, so that's their position. Throw them, you know, into doing what would be more masculine work versus, yeah, there's some chicks maybe they're a little more cut out for that because of the way they were brought up, their gene pool, blah blah blah. But for the most part, no, I think it's been so inverted, um, so what's the word? Maybe stop looking at your butt. So perverted. Negative is separation. Sure, the leaf still is a leaf. Yeah, but it's still a leaf, but it's separate. Now it's not on the tree, is it? So it's no longer there. I don't want to go that deep into the philosophical thing again, and so we'll probably end this in a couple minutes here. The leaf is still a leaf, sure, but it's a leaf without being on the tree, and then it goes into the ground, and it becomes fuel for the tree to grow more. That's part of the life cycle. So is it still a leaf, or now is it the tree? Still doesn't change the fact that it's not on the tree anymore, so it is a separate leaf. I don't eat an orange tree, I eat an orange. If I walked up to an orange tree and I just started gnawing on all the branches and the bark and that wouldn't be too healthy. I mean, I'll get something out of it, I'm sure, but wouldn't I rather eat the fruit after it falls off the tree into my hand? Well, it's separate. It's not separate, but what do they say? It's separate but equal. Yeah, amping up the cloning. I don't know. So check it out, y'all. I do got to end this because my dog is being a dick right now, and she's being very aggressive at me. She wants to go outside. So let me come here, baby. Come here. Just don't hit the phone. If you want something, just come say hi to me. You know what you need to do. Let's smash the phone. Okay, guys. This little creature needs my attention right now. So I'll talk to you later. Hope you enjoyed the video. And as always, thumbs up. And for anybody that came late, go to the beginning. Don't try to answer questions when you don't know the question. Yeah. Peace out, everybody. All right.